While all of crypto Twitter is screaming that the Clarity Act is dead, buried, finished, one person just said the exact opposite. 5 words. I remain confident it's going to pass. And here's what should stop you cold. She's not a YouTuber. She's not a hype account with a rocket emoji. She's a sitting commissioner at the SEC, the very agency that spent years dragging crypto through court. When the referee starts quietly rooting for your team, you pay attention. So let's do something nobody else is doing right now. Instead of asking the exhausted question, will it pass, won't it pass? Let's take her at her word for the next 14 minutes. Let's assume she's right, and let's ask the question that actually matters for your bag. If the Clarity Act passes, what actually happens to XRP? Hour 1, month 1, year 1. I mapped the whole thing out. And one part of what she said, a second thing that almost nobody caught, could either make XRP's future rock solid or built on sand. Stick with me. Let's dig in. Real quick, from me to you, I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. And today's a mix, part real quote, part thought experiment about what could unfold. So I'll always tell you which is which. No predictions, no price promises, no doom. Never risk what you can't afford to lose, and always do your own research. Cool? All right, let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Crypto with BHW, where we tell it to you straight, with heart. Grab your coffee, get comfy, because everyone's stuck arguing about if, and today we're going somewhere far more interesting. What happens when? Let's go. All right, let's start with who actually said this, because the source is the whole story. Her name is Hester Peirce, and she's not just anybody. She's a commissioner at the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. That's the agency that, for years, was the single biggest villain in XRP's life. The one that sued Ripple. The one that kept this entire industry in a fog of, are you legal or not? So when someone from inside that building speaks, it carries a weight that no influencer, no analyst, no YouTuber, including me, can match. And by the way, in crypto circles, she's earned a nickname, Crypto Mom, because for years, she's been the voice inside the SEC pushing for clear rules and innovation, and pushing against the old strategy of regulating crypto by suing everyone in sight. She currently leads the SEC's crypto task force, so this is someone who genuinely knows the machinery from the inside. Now here's what she said in an interview on a show called Crypto in America. Asked about the Clarity Act facing more hurdles in the Senate, she said, plainly, I remain confident that clarity is going to pass. Sit with that for a second. While crypto Twitter is writing obituaries and slapping "it's dead" on red thumbnails, a sitting SEC commissioner is calmly saying, it's going to pass. Now, I want to be honest and precise, because precision is respect. She did not say it passes next week. She was careful. She talked about how genuinely hard it is to get legislation done, how long it takes, how high the stakes are. So she's not promising a date. She's expressing confidence in the destination, not the timing. But even that is a big deal, because the people closest to the actual process, the ones who see it from the inside, are far less panicked than the internet wants you to be. And that gap between the insider calm and the outsider panic, that's the whole opportunity of this video. But she said a second thing in that interview, and honestly, it might matter even more than the first, because it answers the question, what if it doesn't pass? And the answer has a hidden trap in it. Let me show you. Okay, this is the part almost everyone skipped, and it's crucial. The interviewer basically asked, what if Congress keeps blowing through deadlines? At what point does the SEC just take the reins and make the rules itself? And this points to something the SEC and CFTC have already signaled they'll do. If the law stalls, the regulators say they'll classify crypto themselves, essentially treating nearly everything that isn't a traditional security as a commodity. So a tokenized Apple stock? Still a security. But your everyday crypto that wasn't a security to begin with? Classified as a commodity. Now on the surface, that sounds like great news for XRP, right? Clarity without even needing Congress. And short term, yeah, it helps. But here's the trap. And this is the single most important concept in this entire video. So let me make it stick. Regulatory guidance is a sandcastle. It's built by whoever's currently in charge, and it can be wiped away by the next person in charge, overnight, with a signature. Imagine a future administration, someone with the old anti-crypto posture, a Gary Gensler type, walks in and just erases it, rebuilds the fog. Everything XRP fought to escape, back again. A law is different. A law is stone. It's passed by Congress, it survives elections, it survives new administrations, it survives a hostile SEC chair. It doesn't wash away with the next political tide. That is why the Clarity Act matters so much more than any SEC guidance, and why even a pro-crypto commissioner like Peirce wants the law, not just her own agency's rules. Because she knows her own guidance is temporary, and only Congress can pour concrete. For XRP, an asset that's already been burned once by a shifting SEC, that distinction is everything. Sandcastle versus stone. Okay, so let's take Peirce at her word and step into the future. The law passes. The president signs it. What happens to XRP in the very first month? This is where it gets fun. Let me walk you through it. All right, thought experiment starts now. And remember, this is a logical scenario, not a prediction. But it's built on real mechanics we've already seen play out. The first 24 hours, the signature lands, and the very first thing that happens isn't about price, it's about a cloud lifting. That, is XRP a security or a commodity question that's haunted it since day one? Answered. Permanently. In law. The immediate effect is psychological, and it's huge. The single biggest source of fear around XRP just evaporates. We saw a version of this energy when the stablecoin law passed last year. Sentiment shifted fast when the uncertainty broke. The first week or two. Exchanges exhale. Remember, a lot of platforms stayed cautious with XRP specifically because of the legal gray zone. Remove the gray zone, and that caution has no reason to exist anymore. Historically, regulatory clarity has been the trigger for exchanges to get more comfortable. More listings, more pairs, more access. That's not a promise of price, it's a removal of a handbrake. The first month. Now the classification is official and durable. XRP knows exactly what it is in the eyes of US law, and that unlocks the door for the players who were legally not allowed to touch an unclear asset. Regulated institutions with strict compliance rules. They don't move overnight, but the "we can't, it's too unclear" excuse is gone. Quick one before we jump ahead. If clarity passes, do you think XRP gets relisted or added on more major exchanges? Type yes or no in the comments. I really want to see where this community lands. So month one isn't fireworks. It's something better and more durable. It's the handbrake coming off, quietly, across the whole system. But the first month is just the warm-up. The real transformation, the part that actually reshapes XRP's role in finance, happens over the following year. And it involves machinery that's already built and waiting. Let me show you. Okay, this is where it gets genuinely exciting, because the infrastructure for this future already exists. It's just been waiting for the legal green light. Around 6 months out, institutions that spent months in wait-and-see mode start actually moving. And here's the thing, the rails are already laid. Think about everything that's been quietly built while everyone stared at the price. RLUSD, Ripple's regulated stablecoin, running on the XRP Ledger. Ripple Prime, letting institutions post XRP as collateral and borrow against it without selling. Spot XRP ETFs approaching $1 billion in holdings, with names like Franklin Templeton and Grayscale attached. None of that needed to be invented. It's done. It's sitting there. Clarity just flips it from cautious pilot to full speed. Around a year out. Now the picture compounds. With durable legal certainty, XRP's original purpose, being a fast, neutral settlement bridge, stops being a pitch and starts being a product institutions can actually deploy at scale. Tokenized assets need settlement. Cross-border payments need a bridge. And we've already seen live proof it works, that JP Morgan, MasterCard, and Ondo settled on the XRP Ledger in under 5 seconds. Multiply that kind of thing across a year of legal certainty, and XRP stops being the coin from the lawsuit and becomes the settlement layer institutions quietly rely on. That's the arc. Hour 1, a cloud lifts. Month 1, the handbrake releases. Year 1, the machine that's already built finally gets to run at full power. And the beautiful part? Almost every piece of that machine exists today. We're just waiting on the one piece of paper that makes it safe to use. Now, I promised you honesty, not a fairy tale. So before we celebrate too hard, let me put the cold water where it belongs. Because there's a real reality check here, and you deserve it straight. All right, let me give it to you straight, the way I'd tell a friend across the table. First, and most important, this whole journey I just walked you through is a scenario, not a certainty. It all starts with if it passes. And right now, honestly, the odds are roughly a coin flip. Prediction markets have bounced around the 30s and 40s. Peirce is confident, and I lean hopeful, but confidence is not a guarantee. Anyone who tells you it's a done deal is lying to you. Second, even in the best case, this is not an overnight moon mission. Notice how I never gave you a price or a date? That's on purpose. Foundations don't pay off in an afternoon. Everything I described, exchanges relaxing, institutions moving, settlement scaling, unfolds over months and years, not hours. If you walk away expecting a green candle the day it passes, you'll be disappointed, even if everything goes right. Third, the risks are real. It could stall past August and slip into next year. The enforcement fight could drag. And even with a great law, adoption still has to actually happen. A rulebook doesn't force anyone to use XRP. It just removes the reason not to. But here's how I'd hold all of it, and I mean this. The most bullish thing in this entire story isn't a price target, it's who's optimistic. When the panic is loudest on the outside and the calm is strongest on the inside, from a regulator who's seen it all, that tells you something about the difference between noise and signal. The insiders are building, the infrastructure is waiting, and the direction, whether it takes 2 weeks or 2 years, has never been clearer. Zoom out one last time. A couple years ago, XRP was fighting the SEC in court, and people wondered if it would survive. Today, an SEC Commissioner is on TV saying she's confident the law that protects it will pass. Read that twice. That's how far this has come. That arc only points one direction over the long run. The pain doesn't last forever. It never does. So here's where I'll leave you, fam. An insider who's calm while the internet panics. A future that's already been built and is just waiting for a green light. And a community that watches the signal instead of the noise. Whatever these next weeks bring, green or red, we walk through it together. Clear eyes, steady hands, because that's what we do here. If this gave you a clearer head than the doom channels, do me a favor. Drop your honest take below. Do you trust the insider or the internet? I read every single comment. This has been Crypto with BHW, where we tell it straight, with heart. Stay ready, stay hopeful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.